Right now, your dog is watching you, and every single day, without fail, they have been trying to tell you something silently, patiently, consistently, that the vast majority of dog owners will go their entire lives never figuring out. What you're about to discover in the next few minutes isn't just interesting. It's the kind of thing that will fundamentally shift how you experience every single moment you spend with your dog. Welcome to Canine Mind. If your dog means the world to you, if you genuinely want to understand what's going on inside them, hit subscribe right now. You'll want to be here for this. Stay all the way through to the very last sign, because sign number 7 is the one that's going to hit you somewhere deep and unexpected. Let's talk about something that almost nobody in the dog world takes seriously enough. Not the tail wagging, not the way they lose their mind when you come through the front door. Those things are real, and they matter, but they're surface level. What we're getting into today goes somewhere completely different, somewhere deeper. These are the 7 rare signs that your dog hasn't just bonded with you. They've chosen you as their one person, their ultimate anchor in this world. And there is a very specific, very meaningful difference between a dog that loves you and a dog that has made the decision a quiet, irreversible, wholehearted decision that you are their person forever. Do you know which one yours has done? Keep watching, because the answer lives inside this video. 1. The slow, deliberate sigh your dog releases when they settle in beside you. You've heard it. You know exactly what I'm talking about the moment I say it. Your dog wanders over, circles once or twice the way they always do, lies down right next to you, and then releases this long, slow, full exhale. Not a pant, not the sound of physical effort, a sigh, deep, complete, unhurried, like something wound tight inside them, just let go. Most people notice it. Most people smile a little, and then they move on. With absolutely no idea that they just witnessed something researchers in animal behavior consider one of the most emotionally significant signals a dog is capable of producing. Here's the science behind it. Dogs, much like humans, carry physical tension in their bodies whenever they're in a state of psychological alertness. Their muscles stay subtly engaged. Their breathing remains slightly elevated. Their nervous system holds itself ready, prepared to respond to whatever the environment might throw at them. That isn't stress in the clinical sense. It's vigilance. And for most dogs, in most moments, vigilance is simply the default setting. It's background noise their bodies run on constantly. But when a dog enters a state of genuine safety, when their brain actually registers that the environment around them isn't just okay, but truly, completely secure, something changes on a physiological level. The tension drains out of their muscles. Their breathing slows and deepens. And that sigh is the audible evidence of that release happening in real time. Research from the University of Helsinki examining canine emotional states found that dogs show measurable, documented differences in physiological arousal, depending on who is present with them, specifically whether their primary attachment figure is nearby. In plain language, your dog's body responds differently to being near you than it does to being near literally any other living person. And that response isn't trained behavior. It isn't something they learned. It's biological. It's what happens when a nervous system that has been humming at a low-level state of alert finally receives the signal. It's been waiting for the signal that says, "You're home now. You're safe." The sigh is that signal made audible. And here's what makes this particular sign so rare, so specific, so worth paying attention to. Your dog doesn't do this with everyone. Think about it honestly. Have you ever seen your dog settle beside a house guest and release that same sigh? A neighbor? Someone they're comfortable with but don't live with? Probably not. Because this level of release, this complete physiological surrender, only happens in the presence of the one person their nervous system has fully, unconditionally mapped as safe. If your dog sighs when they lie down beside you, they aren't just resting. They're telling you something. They're saying, "The only place in this world where I fully exhale is right here next to you." Keep watching, because sign number 2 was put under a microscope in a laboratory. and what scientists found will permanently change the way you look at your dog. 2. Your dog holds eye contact with you, not to ask for something, just to see you. Most dog owners are familiar with the look their dog gives them when they want food, when they need to go outside, when they're angling for attention, or a treat, or a walk. That's one kind of eye contact. It's transactional. It's a request dressed up in fur. But there's another kind, and if you've experienced it, you already know exactly what I mean. Without me having to explain it further, you aren't doing anything remarkable. You're sitting on the couch, or standing in the kitchen stirring something, or reading a book, completely absorbed in your own world. You glance up, and your dog is already looking at you. Not with that wide-eyed urgency of want, not anxious, not demanding, just looking. Softly, steadily, with something behind their eyes that's difficult to name but completely impossible to miss. That moment has a biological explanation, and it is extraordinary. A landmark study published in the journal Science in 2015, led by Japanese researcher Takafumi Kikusui, found that when dogs and their owners engage in mutual gaze, when they genuinely look into each other's eyes, both parties experience a significant, measurable rise in oxytocin levels. Oxytocin is the hormone most closely associated with social bonding, deep trust, and love in mammals. It's released between mothers and their newborns, between people in intimate relationships, and as this research definitively proved, between dogs and their chosen humans during sustained, reciprocal eye contact. What makes this discovery so staggering is that this particular loop where looking at each other actively deepens the bond for both parties simultaneously was previously believed to be exclusive to human social relationships. Dogs broke that assumption wide open. But here's the detail that separates this sign from ordinary behavior. The oxytocin loop only fires strongly when the eye contact is mutual, sustained, and unprompted by need. When your dog stares at you because they want something, that's a request. When your dog gazes at you for absolutely no reason at all, with nothing to gain and nothing to ask, that's connection. That is your dog actively choosing to look at the one face in the world that causes their brain to release a hormone scientists directly associate with love. Dogs don't do this with strangers. They don't do this with people they merely tolerate or feel neutral about. They do this with their person. The next time your dog catches your gaze for no apparent reason, don't look away quickly. Hold it. Stay there. Because what's happening in that moment isn't just a look. It's a biological exchange that's been documented in peer-reviewed science and felt in the chest of every person who has ever truly, deeply loved a dog. Stay with me, because sign number 3 involves something your dog brings you, and what that gesture actually means is going to completely reframe it for you. 3. Your dog brings you their most prized possession, not as an invitation to play, simply to give it to you. Picture the scene. Your dog trots over to you with a toy in their mouth, but they don't drop it at your feet and step back, tail wagging, waiting for you to hurl it across the room. They don't shake it or bounce around with it in that excited, playful way. They just walk right up to you, stand there, holding it gently in their mouth, and look at you. Sometimes they'll place it carefully in your lap and then just sit. No game, no prompt, no invitation, just the offering itself. This behavior confuses owners constantly, and almost all of them misread it. Here's what's actually happening. In the social world of dogs, high-value objects are not shared casually or given away lightly. A dog's most treasured toy, the one they guard, the one they carry to their favorite resting spot, the one they reach for when they need comfort, is not something they hand over without meaning. When a dog brings that particular item to a particular person without any intention of starting a game, researchers in canine social cognition classify this as gift behavior. A deliberate, voluntary transfer of something personally meaningful. Studies examining canine object-directed social behavior have found that dogs are significantly more likely to present objects to individuals they share the strongest bond with, and that this behavior peaks during moments of intense positive emotion. Reunion after a period of separation is one of the most common triggers. The dog isn't playing, they're communicating. They're saying, "This is the thing I value most in my world, and I want you to have it because you matter more than it does." Let that sink in for a moment. Your dog's entire universe fits inside your home, and within that universe, they have one or two things they genuinely treasure, and they are bringing that thing to you not because you asked for it, not because there's a reward waiting on the other end, but because in that specific moment, giving you the thing they love most is the closest they can get to expressing something words will never let them say. This isn't a trick. This isn't trained behavior. This is a dog doing what dogs do when they are standing in the presence of the one person they've chosen above everyone else. Pay attention to this, and the next time it happens, resist the reflex to immediately throw the toy. Hold it for a moment. Let the gesture be what it is. Because what just happened is so much bigger than fetch. And it is nothing compared to sign number 4, the one most owners feel every single day and still don't fully understand. Don't skip ahead. 4. Your dog physically leans against you, not looking for a pet, not asking for anything, just anchoring themselves to you. You're standing in the kitchen. You're in the middle of a conversation. You're just existing in a room, not doing anything particularly noteworthy. And then you feel it, that warm, solid, undeniable pressure against the side of your leg. Your dog has walked over, positioned their body flush against yours, and is simply leaning there, not jumping, not pawing, not making any kind of bid for attention, just there, still, pressed into you. This is what behaviorists call the lean behavior, and it is one of the single most underestimated forms of communication in the entire canine world. To understand what it actually means, you need to understand what dogs instinctively reach for when the world feels a little too large. In the social structure of dogs, physical contact with a trusted companion is one of the primary mechanisms through which they regulate their own emotional state. And this isn't metaphorical, it's physiological. When a dog makes physical contact with their attachment figure, their cortisol levels, the biological marker we use to measure stress, measurably drop. Research published in the journal Hormones and Behavior confirmed that physical contact between dogs and their primary owners produces a statistically significant reduction in stress hormones in the dog within minutes of contact beginning. But here's the piece most people completely miss. The lean isn't random physical contact. A dog who leans against you has made a very deliberate, very specific choice. They have crossed the room past every piece of furniture, past every corner, past every other option available to them, and chosen your body as the thing they want to be pressed against. Not because you called them over, not because you offered anything, because in that moment, you are what makes them feel grounded. You are their anchor. In situations where a dog feels even mildly uncertain, a new environment, an unfamiliar sound in the distance, a room full of people they don't recognize, the lean becomes even more telling. Watch a dog in a low-grade, stressful situation when their person is nearby. Without fail, they'll navigate their way to that person's leg and press in close. Not to hide, not out of fear, out of calibration. They are checking in with the one signal their nervous system trusts without question. If your dog leans on you, they are not being clingy, they are not being needy. They are showing you that you are the most stabilizing force in their entire world. You are the thing that makes everything else make sense. 3 signs left. And sign number 5 is one that happens while you're both asleep, which means most owners have never even noticed it. Keep watching. 5. Your dog wakes in the middle of the night just to make sure you're still there. This one is quiet. It happens in the dark. Most people sleep straight through it and never know it occurred. But if you've ever been a light sleeper, if you've ever shared a bedroom or a bed with your dog, there's a chance you've caught it. Somewhere in the deep stretch of the night, your dog stirs. Not because they need water, not because they heard something outside, not because anything has alarmed them. They lift their head, turn in your direction, and then they either take a slow sniff of the air toward you, touch their nose briefly and gently to your hand or your arm, or simply rest their gaze on you for a quiet few seconds before dropping their head back down and drifting back to sleep. And then it happens again. Maybe twice more before morning. Maybe 3 times. This behavior has a name in the world of animal behavioral science. It's called a proximity check, and it is a documented feature of secure attachment in social mammals observed specifically in dogs who share a sleeping environment with their primary bonded human. What it reveals about the nature of how dogs attach to us is genuinely profound. Sleep, as we touched on when we discussed the sigh, represents a state of maximum vulnerability. Every living animal that sleeps is exposed during those hours. And the biological instinct of a deeply bonded social animal, even in the depths of rest, even when they're not consciously aware, is to periodically verify that the one they love is still present, still there, still safe. Your dog isn't having bad dreams. They aren't being anxious or neurotic or troubled. Their sleeping brain is running a subroutine that has been shaped and refined across tens of thousands of years of social evolution. A system that says, the one I'm bonded to is the one I must be near, and it runs a quiet check even in the dark. Research examining canine attachment and sleep patterns has found that dogs classified as securely attached to their owners display distinctly different nighttime behavioral profiles compared to dogs with anxious or avoidant attachment. Still, securely attached dogs rest peacefully for long stretches, but they engage in these brief, calm, quiet proximity checks throughout the night. Not frantic searching, not distress, just a soft ancient form of confirmation. If your dog checks on you while you sleep, don't try to train it away. Don't read it as a problem to solve. It is one of the oldest expressions of trust an animal is capable of producing. They are making sure their world is still intact. Sign number 6 is going to seem almost trivial the first time you hear it. But once you understand what it actually signals about the bond between you and your dog, you will never see it the same way again. 6. Your dog yawns when you yawn. Test this right now. Or the next time you're sitting quietly with your dog nearby. Look at them, hold their attention for just a moment, and then let out a slow, visible, unmistakable yawn, and then watch what happens. There's a very real chance that a memory is surfacing for a lot of people watching this right now, a moment when your dog yawned right back at you and you thought absolutely nothing of it. Maybe you even laughed a little. Here's why you should have thought something. Contagious yawning is one of the most deeply studied phenomena in the field of social cognition. For years, for decades, it was believed to be a behavior unique to humans. But the reason it's contagious in the first place has nothing to do with tiredness or boredom. It has everything to do with empathy. Neurologically, contagious yawning is directly linked to the same systems in the brain, responsible for reading and mirroring the emotional states of the people around us. At its most fundamental level, it is a biological expression of social attunement. It means, I am so tuned into you that my body echoes yours automatically. Then researchers began asking whether dogs could yawn contagiously in response to humans. And the answer they found changed the way the scientific community understands the canine mind. A study published in the journal PLOS One found that dogs do, in fact, yawn contagiously in response to human yawns. And crucially, they are significantly more likely to do so in response to their owner's yawn than to the yawn of a complete stranger. The bond matters, the familiarity matters, the relationship matters. A dog who hasn't chosen you won't yawn when you yawn, but a dog who has their nervous system is so deeply synchronized with yours that they mirror your internal states automatically, without conscious thought, without training, without any deliberate attempt on their part. This is not a party trick. This is not a quirk. This is measurable, documentable, biological empathy. When your dog yawns in response to you, something in their brain registered your state and reflected it back. They felt you, not in the exact way one human feels another, but in a way that is entirely, authentically their own, and entirely, undeniably real. The animal resting beside you right now may understand your emotional state more accurately and more consistently than most of the humans in your daily life. Sit with that for a moment. And now we're here. Sign number 7, the one I told you at the very beginning to stay for. The one that's going to land differently than everything else in this video. 7. Your dog watches you leave with calm eyes. This one seems wrong at first. It feels counterintuitive. Most people carry a deep-seated assumption that the more intensely a dog loves you, the more desperately they'll fall apart when you walk out the door. The more they cry, the more they scratch, the more they pace back and forth with that frantic, heartbroken energy. Surely that's what real devotion looks like. Surely that's the dog who has chosen you most completely. The science tells a completely different story. And once you understand it, you will never look at a dog's goodbye behavior the same way again. What that frantic response actually represents, the crying, the scratching, the desperate energy pressed against the door, isn't a sign of deep bond. It's a sign of insecure attachment. It's a dog who loves you enormously, but hasn't yet developed the internal certainty that you're coming back. A dog whose nervous system, despite the intensity of their love, hasn't been given enough consistent, reliable evidence that separation is temporary, that absence is survivable, that you always return. Now picture a different dog. You pick up your keys, you pull on your jacket, you say your goodbye, and your dog walks calmly with you to the door, sits down, and looks up at you, not frantically, not with desperation written across their face, with something quieter, something certain. Maybe they lower their chin to their paws as you step outside. Maybe they simply watch you go without a sound. No scratching, no wailing, just those calm, steady eyes following you out. That dog has achieved something genuinely remarkable. That dog has reached the highest level of emotional security that exists within the canine attachment system. Researchers studying canine separation behavior have consistently found that dogs classified as securely attached to their primary owner display significantly fewer distress behaviors when their person leaves, not because they love you less, not because they're indifferent to your absence, but because they've been given enough consistent, unwavering, reliable love that their nervous system has internalized a truth at its deepest level. This person always comes back. I don't need to panic. I can wait, because waiting always ends the same way. That calm look at the door isn't indifference. It is the polar opposite of indifference. It is a dog who has decided, based on everything the two of you have built together, every return after every absence, every moment of care and presence you have given them, that you are the most trustworthy being they have ever known. They aren't frantic because they aren't afraid, and they aren't afraid because you have never, not once, given them a real reason to be. That look is trust in its absolute purest form. It is your dog saying, without words, "Go, I know you're coming back. I'll be right here." Now, take a step back and look at everything we've walked through together. The slow, relieved sigh that only escapes them when they're beside you. The soft, unhurried gaze that triggers the same love hormone in both of you simultaneously. The prized possession carried over, not as an invitation to play, but offered as a genuine gift. The lean that turns your body into their emotional anchor, their grounding force. The midnight proximity, checks that prove their sleeping mind still reaches for you in the dark. The yawn that mirrors yours because their nervous system has become so attuned to yours, it moves in rhythm with you. And that quiet, unshaken look at the door, the one that tells you they trust you with every single piece of their animal heart. These aren't random behaviors. They aren't coincidences scattered across your daily life. They are a language, A language your dog has been speaking to you every day, consistently, completely, without interruption. A language that has been playing out right in front of you, in every room of your home, in every ordinary moment you've shared. And now you know what it says. They didn't just bond with you, they chose you. Out of every person they could have anchored themselves to, out of every lap they could have leaned against, out of every pair of eyes they could have gazed into with that quiet, world-stopping look. They chose you. That isn't something you train into a dog. That isn't something you earn on a single good day. That is something a dog decides deeply, permanently, with their whole being, and your dog has decided. If this video gave you something real, a moment of recognition, a shift in the way you see the animal who is probably lying somewhere near you right now, share it with someone who loves their dog and deserves to hear this. Subscribe to Canine Mind. We're here every single week, helping you understand the creature who handed you their one life without a second of hesitation. They chose you. The very least we can do is understand them. Tell me in the comments which of these 7 signs does your dog show you, and when was the moment you first really knew that they had chosen you?